don't care. Slavery, just like freedom, is a choice. Frederick Douglass was a slave. He was sent to a slave breaker because he was ornery. He wouldn't do what he was told to do. He was 16 years old. This slave breaker's name was Covey. Frederick writes about him. Just whooping Frederick and beating him. And Covey hit Frederick one too many times. And Frederick beat the hell out of Covey.
Good for him.
And Covey respected him. And Frederick Douglass said he found out, he says, power gives up nothing without demand. He said, a weak man can never have power. He said, he will be pitied for a time, but until the power rises up in him, he will never be respected. And that's when Frederick Douglass became Frederick Douglass. He left, got his freedom, and became who he was. Harriet Tubman remembered the same thing. 100,000 black people escaped during slavery. Another 100,000 escaped during the Underground Railroad. If it was impossible and wasn't a choice, how did they do it?
Right.
How did they choose? Harriet Tubman would go and get black people and say, come on, let's go to freedom. They say, no, you chose.
Right.
Then they want to talk about some reparations. Ain't that some nerve? The very Union Army, who had 600,000 soldiers almost die to free you, you're going to now sue for having you enslaved. If you want your reparations, go to Antietam. Go to Sharpsburg. Go to Vicksburg. Go to Gettysburg. Go, these white boys died and these black soldiers died. The Massachusetts 54th. The Homestead Act comes out in 1866, giving any able-bodied man, black men too, the right to take 150 acres of land out west if you're willing to till it. Less than 5,000 black men joined up for it and stayed on the plantation. And you're going to tell me slavery is not a choice?
Wow.
George Washington says, American Revolution, if you fight, you're free. The British said the same thing. Some came and fought, others chose to stay on the plantation.
Wow.
Choice. War of 1812, same thing.
Get out of here.
Some fought, some stayed. Choice. Mexican War, same thing. Some fought, some stayed. Choice. Civil War, Emancipation Proclamation, come fight. Less than 1% joined the Union Army down south. Choice. And then you got the nerve to ask for some reparations? When you turned them down after they offered free land? Because a bunch of Democrats are gonna be lying to you? Let me tell you something straight. Everybody listen to me. You ain't gonna get that money. You can kiss it goodbye. Some study talking about it's gonna be $27 trillion for America to pay reparations. Well, Tucker, there's a problem with that. I think that the GDP of America is only like maybe $23 trillion. And with all of everything America made last year, you're not going to get it. And here's the greatest reason that you're not going to get it. Barack Obama became president in 2000. He won in 2007, became president in 2008. You remember this well because he had a filibuster-approved majority in the House and the Senate. Remember, he had 58 Democrats and 2 independents caucusing with him. That was filibuster-proof. Cloture was done. And that's how they got Obamacare passed, right? Nancy Pelosi got it through the House, and then they had the 60 votes in the Senate. And you know how hard it is to get 60 votes for one party in the Senate. I can remember the last time that ever happened. Barack had it. How many times did reparations come up?
Approximately 0.
Approximately 0.
In that range.
Yes. Never came up.
Wow.
Never came. Could have passed it easy, couldn't he? Never came up. You will never get it. It's Lucy moving the football, Charlie Brown. It's the carrot in front of the old mule making him walk. You will never, ever get it. And when I hear these people lying to these people that are not very well educated, telling them about this, what did the old crow in Animal Farm flew around telling people about? Yeah. All the things they were going to get, what do you call it, honey and all this kind of stuff, and the people were working believing it. It's just a communist. It's part of what they do. It's how they work. They give you these false idols to pray to. They have the statues of Lenin and Stalin all over the Soviet Union like they do King here in America, right, in the black community, streets and stuff named after him to make people believe that his ideology was so correct. And the guy was an apostate. Everything he talked about failed.
So I guess my last question is, you've laid out the case, I think, compellingly, that the Democratic Party has oppressed, well, the country, but black people in particular, for a couple hundred years. So what is the thinking of people who, so you're saying you think the Republican this year could get over 20%, but that's still, it's still a lot of people voting Democrat.
It is.
Why?
Social pressure.
How intense is the social pressure?
Oh, you can be ostracized.
Actually?
Yeah, you have to be able to explain yourself very, very well.
Yeah.
Black people that can explain themselves well, like I do, I have no problem. But why are you against the Democratic Party? You've seen myself. They castrate little boys and call them little girls. These people vote for candidates that say they're gonna make it legal for demented men to go into the bathroom and watch your wife and your daughter urinate.
Yuck.
I look at a black man and say, "Did you hear what I just said to you? You're gonna vote for a man that's gonna let a demented man go into the bathroom with your wife and your daughter and watch them use the bathroom. Hell, I don't do that." The black women are protected by government. You know, they can put restraining orders on men for anything. They can take their children away and make them pay child support, to take their sons away. That's the game that they play. They use government to come in and try to castrate their husbands and try to castrate their boyfriends. And the man can say, "I'll take my son, I'll raise him, I'll take care of him." No, I'll keep him and I want you to pay me. And the judges 9 times out of 10 will say, "Yeah, she's right. Pay her and let her raise your son." And you can see him 4 times out of the month. And then these boys are raised confused.
Yeah.
But again, they know this. What did Pharaoh say when he found out that the children of Israel were getting too numerous in Goshen? He went to the midwives and said that if you see a girl child, let them live. But if you see a boy child, kill him. Kill him. Kill the boy child. There was a book out that said "Conspiracy to Destroy Black Boys." There was a great book out that said "Conspiracy to Destroy Boys" in America. It was done about 20, 30 years ago. They warning people that this society is being set up from the feminists and whatnot to take men out, to feminize men. The LGBTQ movement, same thing. Feminization of men, confusing them. The Boy Scouts, look at what they've done, Tucker. They don't even call them Boy Scouts any longer. They didn't mess with the Girl Scouts, did they?
Wow.
We got to take the Boy Scouts out. The man is the problem. Our Bible says, Jesus gave the parable that if a robber is going to come into a home, he first must bind the strong man. He has to bind the strong man before. But if he doesn't bind the strong man will wait and will not allow his house to be shaken up. They have to bind the strong man, especially the American strong man.
Wow.
The American strong man, it was something nobody had ever seen before. He was something that the world had never witnessed before. I mean, when the Americans came, it was over. It was Wild Earth walking in. It stops now. When those boys went invaded France on Normandy, war was over in 6 months. The year was done.
Wow.
The Boy Scouts against the Hitler Youth beat them down. When the Americans came, it stopped. We used to take democracy and morality and meritocracy and capitalism. The whole world wants to be us. Now look at what we're pushing all over the world. Kill your children. Let your men wear dresses. Push God out of the public square. Climate change. Control the whole economy. They went down to Africa and the Congo. These people about to starve to death. They found all this oil down there. And then the UN gonna say, well, we don't want you to go dig it up because you're gonna release a carbon bomb in the. What? We about to die over here, man. You guys digging up everything you want to dig up. And then you're gonna tell us that we can't dig up our natural resources because it might release a carbon bomb? And these people living in huts, Tucker. No running water, and they actually went down there and told these people, we don't want you.
Oh my gosh, I cannot.
This is how crazy they are. And it's like the emperor's new clothes, right? Somebody got to call you out and say, little boy said, he's naked. And everybody else said, oh, he is. We have to start calling these people crazy. We entertain them too much by acting like that they have some type of moral equivalency with us.
Right.
You have no moral equivalency with me.
Yeah. Once
Imagine
again,
the conversation having with somebody with about slavery being a choice to a degree.
I mean, you're going to have people truly argue about that.
Ooh,
But if you really go back to how slavery started, I mean, they sold their own people into slavery for goods.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a choice. Mm-hmm. How they got treated when they got over to the U.S. was something else.
Right.
Plus, they were already enslaved in Africa anyway. They already had, certain tribes already had the enslaved.
I guess when he said, now I realize when he's saying slavery is a choice, because you can choose to stay a slave or you can choose to fight and die for it.
Right.
But if I choose to say, forget this, I would take my risk. I'm not a slave anymore.
No, they'd rather be comfortable, but it goes back.
But no, in fear. And black people are like that to this today. But
They really go back.
I'm not going to fight against the grain to be this, but I still want to be a slave and follow the norm. So that's when he was talking about a slave. And that's the conversation, if you ever had with somebody, it's like, you could fight. Then if you're going to fight to say I'm done with this, you're not a slave.
Right.
But you're a slave if you be a slave and getting whooped for lashings and deal with it. But you fight, you're not a slave.
Well, exactly. But that goes back even then. Some of the things he was talking about. I mean, I know there were several revolts all the time. And he was right. Like when Harriet came, she's absolutely one of my favorites, is because of her strong will. Mm-hmm. Her husband didn't even want to leave. She gave him the peace sign. See ya. I'm out. I'm like, of course. Why would you want to still continue to be mistreated, bound?
Right.
Kept, stupid because they didn't want you to learn how to read.
Fear and comfort. They also,
you fight or you die trying.
Listen, it's the fear of the unknown, and it's the fear of what am I going to do? As not being a slave? What can I do?
And that's to this day. So yeah, it goes back to you can still be controlled by resources that the government supplies or ways of thinking that a certain party wants to press upon you, when you can see clearly with your own two eyes and use your brain and think for your own self and see what's really going on and put it together like so many other people are. It's amazing how many people, not just black people in the United States are witness to seeing and are awake as to what's going on.
True.
And now they're verbalizing, but it's specifically black men. As he was saying, the black male has shifted significantly, and it's showing in the polls. For whatever the reason, many black women still want to continue to believe the hype and still vote left. I don't understand it. But you have many of us who don't. TikTok, them women are speaking up and like, child, please, is you crazy?
We just need more. We need more and more. We need more and more minds shifted. That means more and more people come over. More and more people leave this whack. It's whack.
But he had a lot to say in this interview, and I know this is the second clip, and we chose to do this part of it. But if you have not seen this interview, you need to go and see it. To me, it's one of the best that Tucker has done.
Amazing.
And he has. I mean, all of his stuff is lit. Is great. But to me, this sheds a lot of awakening when it has to do with black history, the civil rights movement, the Democratic Party, and how black people, have played a role in this, and government. I mean, it's absolutely very informative. And then he's giving you dates, he's giving you names, he's giving you specifics and books. Go and look for yourself, because I got a whole list. And I'm probably going to go back and watch this again because I know I missed something. Whenever you see it the first time, it's like, ooh. But then when you go back the second time, you're going to hear something else that you missed.
I saw that.
So I know I'm going to watch this again because this is one of the most informed podcast episodes that I can say that I've listened to. And I have listened to a lot of things and listened to several, people, especially in this industry that we're in. This is great. And it's not just for a black person to watch. It's for people to go back and listen and watch this so you can be awakened and up to breast as to this. And he wasn't just talking about Hoover.
Got electrocuted, ain't he?
He was talking about Hoover. He was talking about Kennedy. I mean, he was talking about some real Martin Luther King Jr. Who is his buddy, Abernathy?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just still in awe about that situation. I got to go back and do my own and see the documentary, because when you are awakened to the truth and the facts, not the lies, your whole, it's like another layer has been removed. And if it should force you to go and do your own research so you can substantiate those claims.
For sure.
So this was good.
It was very
It really
good.
was good. What do you guys think? Have you seen it? If not, go and check it out.
Slavery was a choice. Oh my God!
He said no reparations too. He said, "Is y'all crazy?"
Oh yeah. He said, "Yeah, go. What about
He
them
said
soldiers?"
it never happened.
But I still think now that's a winning argument because it's like, how you gonna say? I could see people.
What?
It's not you, but I'm saying I can see people saying, "How you gonna say slavery was a choice?" Because you could choose to stay that way, or you could choose to do something else.
But initially,
whatever the consequence was.
when you go back to history, how did we actually become enslaved?
Yeah.
How did it happen? They didn't go over there by force. After we were sold and sold and sold, they kept coming back. But
And breeding and sowing and breeding and continue to keep moving in that system. It start getting lost in the ethos of it, but you still have a lot of different revolts.
Of course, but I mean, the slave trade was industry all over the world, so it wasn't nothing new. That was just in one part of the globe that they were selling slaves. That was over here, and over there you had other slaves that was being sold.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I get it. It's kind of harsh to even hear it said that way, but if you really go back and think about it and pull up the history books, it tells you how it started and how it began. It didn't start in Western society. It was already going on in these other countries.
All right, y'all. So we already, y'all know,
down that road.
yeah, because we've talked about it. Y'all,
We got tons of videos on that. Go back and look.
And y'all probably have heard us mention that in that same order, in that same form so many times. All right, man, 2024, be more.
Talk less.
We'll see you on the next one.
Love you guys. Subscribe to the channel, share the video, and like this video.